stage, I need to iron everything out before I start anything else. So let's grab your roller and we will come down on our backs on the roller the long way, tailbone to crown, which is nice because if you think about it, that's all your chakras. They're right lined up. And when we're on our roller, we can really feel the alignment or non-alignment of the chakras. So settle down on the surface and keep your knees bent and your feet wider so that you can have good balance. And just begin to let your breath flow normally. And imagine that as you breathe in, you're breathing in from the root chakra all the way up through the top of the head. And as you're exhaling, allow the breath to sink down to the base of your body, base of your spine, your tailbone, your perineum. So let's just imagine that. We'll do that for a bit. As you're breathing, make any adjustments. If you can feel your spine needs to be more aligned, you could make adjustments. Maybe gently roll a little bit on either side of the vertebrae. And we'll just take 2 more breaths. And come back to center. And then bring your feet in. What? Oh, bring your feet in a little closer, and we're just going to do some mini cat-cows on the roller. Don't have to lift your butt off. You're just kind of undulating your spine and your shoulders. Speaking of shoulders, we're going to do a lot of shoulder work today because they are part of the upper body, and we talk about the heart, keeping the heart open. And one of the ways to keep the heart open is to keep the shoulder girdle very strong. I've done my research this week looking at people as they walk around the stores and walking down the sidewalks. And I see a lot of people where the shoulders are kind of curved forward. So that affects a lot of things for us, especially as older humans. We need to keep our shoulders open because of balance. I mean, if your shoulders are slumping forward, you're more likely to, get into a position where you can't maintain your balance. So come back to neutral, and then let us, just before we start on our shoulders, let's just lift up one leg, bring it into the armpit, the knee into the armpit, bring your foot straight up to the ceiling, point your toes, and then flex your foot and squeeze the muscles to the bone on that leg you have lifted. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Feel your butt get round and hard like a juicy, plump peach. And then bring your knee back into your armpit and drop that foot down. We'll do the same. We're going to bring the other knee into the armpit, bring the foot to the ceiling and point the toes hard, flex the foot hard, squeeze the muscle of the bone, again, feeling your butt get nice and tight. And release. And now we'll take both legs up. Bring the toes up to the ceiling, squeeze, point, flex, point, squeeze both legs together. Put your hands right on your butt cheeks and feel them harden up. And then bring the knees back in to the armpits and drop the legs down. And breathe. All right, so we're going to start with our shoulders. Just before we actually do any work, just imagine, think about your heart chakra, and right above the heart chakra is the beginning of the collarbones, and they spread out like beginning of wings right out to the shoulder, the delta cap there. And bring your fingers onto that top of the shoulder piece there. And notice if your shoulders are even. Mine are not even ever, but I try to make them even in this pose. So take your arm awareness down the upper arm to the elbow and feel if the elbows are evenly spaced on either side of the roller, and are they out the same distance. So yeah, out the same distance and down the same distance, like a kind of like a triangle. Is it an isosceles triangle? No, whatever the one is that's, God, and I was so good in geometry 50 or 60 years ago. Okay, so we're going to take those elbows right up to the ceiling, squeeze down on the tops of the shoulders, and we're going to bring the elbows in and out. Hopefully they can reach the mat. Keep them level and even, and go nice and slow with it, with awareness, and breathe. Just do that a few times, waking up the scaps, waking up all the attachments in the shoulder. And now bring the elbows down, and we're just going to begin our mini snow angel. So slide the elbows in to the waist and take them up as high as they want to go. And I think we've mentioned if one side wants to go higher, that's fine. Don't force the other side up. And see if you can relax through the shoulders as we do this too. Just kind of relax the whole spine so the movement is in the shoulders. So these kind of movements just kind of wake up the whole area, not really doing much to strengthen it. We're just waking it up. Okay, now we're going to start making circles with the elbows. So bring the elbows up to the ceiling again and make circles. I start my circles the size of a saucer, and then I make them bigger so that I can start feeling that in all the muscles that are attaching. So I feel it in my ribs, I feel it in my scaps, traps. Keep your chin tucked. Breathe. I'm going clockwise on my right arm and counterclockwise on my left. And on my next rotation, I'm going to start doing the opposite. So we're just rotating in the opposite direction, breathing. So I know I know Robin and I both have shoulder issues. I don't know if you guys, other two.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you do? Carol, did you say you do?
I do. I spend too much time hunched over.
Oh, right. All right. So we're going to drop the elbows down to the mat now. And just for a moment, just pause and bring your awareness into where the scaps are hitting the roller and see how heavy they are. See if, like, I have resistance in one arm because, I've had a lot of shoulder injuries. So, but they're getting better. So I think with time and effort, you can really make a lot of adjustments to the body, even at our advanced age girls. So, okay. So now we're going to cross the elbows and grab onto the opposite elbow. Lift the arms up overhead and feel that in my rib cage. Down. Do that 2 more times. Really reach up. Keep the shoulders level as you do. I feel that in my back too, my lats. Oh, and then we're going to cross the arms in the opposite direction. So the hand that was on top is now on the bottom. We'll do that 3 more times. Oh, got to get ready for all the food I'm going to eat tomorrow. I have to work out for 3 or 4 hours today because I'm going to stuff my face tomorrow. Okay. All right. So that is just shoulder warm-ups. We'll do a few hip warm-ups just because, even though we're working on shoulders and hips. I'm following this new guy now on Facebook. he's kind of crazy, but he and I have the exact same philosophy. I'm like, oh God, he's smart like me about the body. It's hips and shoulders. That's it. Hips and shoulders. That's all about them. And if you keep them juicy, you're good. Everything else, like, I used to have arthritis. I don't have it anymore in my hands. I don't know what happened. I mean, whatever is done is done, but I don't get any more pain or anything. Because I think it's because I'm doing all this work on my shoulders. All right, back to center. And now we're going to just, we have to do a different thing now. Let's just do a couple of bicycles for our tummies. So bring your feet in, and then we'll do some bicycles. And the lower you go, the more core work you're doing. And I like to try to squeeze my rib cage together here to get the upper abs engaged. So low, low, low. How low can you go? And then let's go the other direction. Okay, bring the knees in, bring the feet up, take the feet wide, get into those adductors. And release down. We're going to roll off. We're going to do one more hip move on the roller, but we're going to need it in the other direction. So roll off your roller and then stick it under your glutes, your butt. And we're going to come up on it. And just settle there for a minute. Feel your tailbone. Put your hands on your hip points and feel if they're level. Look down at your knees and see if they're level. What you feel like and what you look like are sometimes two different things. Okay, so we're going to bring the knees in. And then we're going to take the legs from one side to the other, keeping the shoulders on the mat. Breathing, enjoying this wonderful stretch. And this is something we should probably do tomorrow morning before we eat. Get the digestive system prepared. Is anyone else going to eat a lot like me, or am I the only one? I'm going to eat a lot of dessert too.
Of course.
Maybe even drink some wine. We'll see. Okay, back to center. And then finally, last move on the roller for a while is to just lengthen out the legs to stretch out the hip flexors. And I'm going to bring my arms overhead to get a full body stretch. And when you're in this pose, finally, just let everything go. This is a good heart chakra pose too. You can bring your awareness to your heart center, your throat. So if you speak your truth tomorrow, make sure it's the positive truth you're speaking. Thanksgiving used to be such a trip at my house when we were all there, the grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren. It'd be quite an experience. My granddaughter called me the other day. She's doing a school project and she asked what were family dinners like at my house. That brought back a lot of memories. Feel your tailbone just sink and relax. Two more breaths. Slowly walk your feet in and then lift up your hips, remove your roller, set it to the side and just come down on your back on your mat. Keep your knees bent. Bring your arms down by your sides. palms down. Tuck in your shoulder blades. Keep your chin tucked. And we're going to do shoelace pose, which I think we did last week. We did it seated. So we're gonna rotate your right palm open and then bring your right arm up and place your right palm behind your head or in the space under your neck, or if you can get it down even further onto your spine, keeping your elbow on the mat. So we're coming into the right arm being lifted, and in this pose, you can really see if your elbow stays located on the mat. That's where you want your arm to be. You don't want your elbow lifting. So only bring your hand down the spine as far as you can keep your elbow on the mat. Now we're going to rotate the other arm so that the thumb goes down and you rotate onto the back of your hand. As you lift your hand up, you're rotating your shoulder inward and bringing your left arm up the spine as high as it can, keeping the elbow on the mat. So your right shoulder is rotated open and your left shoulder is rotated inward. But you notice you can have your shoulder rotated inward and keep your shoulder on the mat and your elbow on the mat. So you don't have to go forward to rotate your shoulder inward. This will come in handy later when we're doing another move. So make sure you're in a comfortable position with that left arm and don't over rotate it. I'm just going to stay here for a bit, letting the arms get used to the rotation. And breathe. And bring your awareness into your throat chakra, that beautiful blue ball of energy that communicates from the heart to the head. And notice, think about times when you're communicating. When are you communicating from your heart and when are you communicating through your head? It should be a mutual admiration society between those two methods of communication. One more breath. And then slowly, gently roll over slightly to the right so you can take the left arm down to the mat. And then rotate over to the left so you can bring the right arm down and place it on the mat. Palms down on both sides. And just feel into your shoulders here. Breathe. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side now. So we're going to rotate the left palm open, slide. Ooh, the wind is going bad here. Right, that arm up. And again, listen to your body. This side could be very different. Bring your arm behind your head or neck or spine if it'll reach. Keep the shoulder blade tucked. And then we're going to keep the palm down and rotate the right shoulder inward as we slide the right arm over and up the spine as far as it'll go. And notice the difference on the sides. If they're exactly the same, good for you. But for most of us, they will be very different experiences. But if we do this kind of a movement with more regularity, as long as it's not a big structural issue, should be okay. Breathe, relax. Now, I ultimately had to take my left arm and leave it even above my head because it was not comfortable being anywhere near my spine. So honor your body. If your arm doesn't feel comfortable, make sure that whatever arm is not feeling uncomfortable, if it is, you move it to a position where it can be comfortable on the mat. Just give you more awareness, and ultimately you'll get more range of motion if you do that. So 2 more breaths. And slide the arm that was up overhead, down, palm down, roll over to the side so you can take your other arm out and bring that down onto the mat. And breathe. Now, since I can't see you, I'm curious if anybody did notice a lot of difference between each arm.
My left arm is a lot tighter. I couldn't get it even under my head.
Me too, Carol. I couldn't. I did, but it hurt, so I took it out.
I could barely get it to my ear.
Good. Well, I mean, and that's good noticing, but I just want to suggest if you wanted to do a practice like this 3 or 4 times a week, you might notice that if you start doing it more, and I'm going to do it more, that you might get a little bit more range of motion in the shoulder, which would be wicked helpful in the long run. All right.
If you prop your elbow a little, that's not good.
You can prop it. Yeah, you can prop it. I didn't suggest that because I wanted everyone to have the experience of, where it started hurting more. But yeah, propping it is good too. That'll give it more, it'll tell your brain it's safe. Because a lot of the reason that we can't do more mobility stretching is because our brain has noticed in talking with the body that it says danger, danger, Will Robinson. So that's why it won't go. So if you could make it feel safe, it will eventually work with the body more to get more range of motion. So, and that crazy guy I follow on Facebook says the same thing. So, all right, so we're going to come up to seated. And comfortable seated position, and just pause for a moment and come into a meditative posture and just bring your awareness into the shoulders. Feel a lot of energy in mine. Sit up tall, lift the heart space, tuck in the ribs, and breathe. So if this is a comfortable position for you, stay here. If you want to, bring your legs out straight. If that's more comfortable, you can do that. If your hands are tight, you can also put your roller under your knees and send your tailbone back. And that's very comfortable. It's very relaxing. So I'm going to do that because we're working on the shoulders today. So it doesn't really matter what's going on as long as we're comfortable and aligned. And check your alignment, ear, shoulder, hip, on both sides, and drop one hand down onto the mat, keeping the alignment, and bring the other arm up and overhead. And bring that shoulder blade in to the spine. Reach the arm up, stretching out the side body. Do that a few times. Just lift and stretch without bending. And then walk your fingertips of the hand that's on the mat over. Bring your gaze over towards the armpit. You don't have to get it all the way into the armpit. And start feeling stretch. You may feel it down by the waist or the hips. So if the waist or the hips are tight, just keep stretching the upper body. And see if you how long you can hold the alignment. And when you get to the place where the alignment doesn't want to be aligned anymore, stop there. And relax the shoulders in this spot. Don't worry about where your head is. You can have your head any way you want it. Relax both shoulders. Send your awareness into the shoulders and see if they're kissing each other on the same plane. Like I feel like my upper shoulder is moving forward, more forward than my low shoulder. So I'm going to try to change that. And when I changed it, I noticed that I got more opening in the heart chakra and the throat chakra. So try that. 3 more breaths. And then slowly release that side, come back up, rest both hands on your legs, and just feel the energy flowing. And we'll try that on the other side. So I'm going to take the hand that was up in the air and place it on the mat beside me, checking the alignment of my shoulder, hip, wrist, and ear. And then I'm going to lift up my other arm, stretching out from the rib cage, walk my fingertips over, and then reach up with the arm a little bit more. Don't worry about the hip, and breathe, holding the stretch, making sure that the shoulders are in alignment. Three more breaths. And slowly come back and lower your arms down onto your legs. And if you're in the position like I am, I'm going to remove my prop, but you can keep it there. Actually, maybe I will keep it here. I'm going to do a forward fold. So we're going to take both arms up and overhead. Now imagine that there's a ruler, a hard wooden ruler, or even a steel ruler, glued to your spine. So you can't bend your spine in a bendy way. It has to be straight as you come forward. So come forward with your straight spine. Reach those arms up, up, up. And when you can't bend anymore without bending your ruler, bring your arms down into the forward fold. Keep the shoulders broad and breathe. Lift the heart, keep the spine long. Not only is that ruler not bendable, but it's not shrinkable either. You can't shrink it down. So any forward movement is coming from the tailbone to the crown in a straight line. Shoulders are very broad. If I could stand behind each of you, I would be helping your shoulders stay broad. This is what I miss about in-person classes. Three more breaths. Lift that heart space. Shoulders are level. And release. And let's take our hands behind us. Lift up the heart. And release. So remove your prop if you had it underneath your legs. And come into a Sukhasana pose, easy pose. And we're going to do scrape the peanut butter jar asana. So bring your hands onto your knees. And this is going to be a full shoulder stretch as we rotate around. So really slide your shoulders forward and back as you rotate around the upper body. Lots of movement. Get everything moving here. Breathe. Open the heart. Open that power chakra too. Really go the distance. Don't go fast, just go deep. Feel both your shoulders as you rotate. We're going to rotate in the other direction after 2 more in this one. Okay, we're going to go the other way now. Oh, this feels so good. It wouldn't have felt good though if we hadn't have done the pre-work. If it feels good for you, it's because we did all that pre-work. Because the shoulders can get pretty grumpy if they're moved without being oiled. I think I had 2 cups of coffee this morning. I'm sorry, I can't stop talking. All right, we'll do 2 more. Really feel those scaps moving. All right, back to center. Stop. Feel it. So we're going to do an asana now. We're going to do a cow face pose because and hopefully your hips will be as happy as your shoulders in this pose. So we're going to take the right leg and cross it over the left leg so that the right knee is on top of the left knee. Now you may need a lot of propping for this. We're going to come into half shoelace. So we're going to take the right lower leg and start bringing it back. You may want to pause there. That may be enough for you. Maybe enough for you to be like that. You know your bodies, you know what you can do. So you can come into a half shoelace pose and flex the straight leg foot. And we're going to, since the right leg is bent forward, we're going to bring the left arm up and bring it back behind the head at your distance. Now I know I must be going forward because I can get my hand lower. So I'm going to try to sit up straight and then bring the other arm underneath and up. And then we're going to go cow-faced shoelace. So we're going to come forward with a flat back. Woo! Feel that in the bottom leg, right? Keep the elbows open and breathe. We'll take 5 breaths here. Try to keep your alignment. Get into the pose. Let the pose get into you. Relax the hips. I know. And come back up, bring the arms behind you. We'll keep the leg position for a minute. And then we'll uncross the leg and stay here for another breath or 2. And then come back up and cross your left leg over your right. You can prop underneath your bottom leg too if you want to. I can feel a little, I don't have any muscle in that leg, so I feel a little bit. And again, start taking the left lower leg back as much as it works for you, or if not at all, just leave it down with crossed ankles. Let your body get used to this for a sec. And then because the left leg is bent, we're going to take the right arm up and bring it behind your head onto your spine. Curl the left arm under and bring it up. Stay here for a bit. Flex the bottom foot. And slowly hinge forward until you can't hinge no more. And 5 breaths. Keep the heart open. Relax the shoulders. Slowly come up and take your arms behind you. Come rest on your arms behind you. Keep the legs in the same position for a bit. And then release the leg. Take your legs wide apart, well prepped now for a wide-legged forward fold. Keep your hip points on the mat. Lengthen the arms up, overhead, flex the feet. Come forward with a flat back to your edge, till your back wants to bend. And then bring your arms down. And stay here. We'll take 5 breaths here. Relax the quadriceps. Relax the shoulders. Keep the heart open. Slowly walk your hands over to one leg, the outer hand on the outside of that leg. Twist your body over facing the toes. Keep the opposite hip on the mat. You can bend your back slightly here, but imagine your heart is open. And breathe. Place your outer hand on your leg. Twist over towards the other hip. Open up into a twisted pose. Bring that arm up and overhead to the ceiling. Reach, reach. If you could get it overhead, you try to bring it over towards that toe. Great stretch in the side body. Slowly come up. And just pause here and feel into your whole torso. Lift up your heart space. Let's do the other side. We're going to bring our arms up and overhead. Come forward to your edge. Bring your arms down to the mat. Open up your heart. Keep your shoulders broad. Flexed feet. Breathe. Start to walk your hands over towards that leg, the opposite leg, and one hand on the outside of the leg. And come, keep the other hip on the mat. Heart open. Place your outside hand on your leg. Twist over to the other direction. Bring that arm up to the ceiling or thereabouts. And just start to tip over, see what happens. And slowly, slowly, slowly come up. And bring your hands behind you. So. All right. So make your way over onto your hands and knees for just a minute. We're going to come up to standing. We're going to come into a cat-cow first. So in table pose, we're just going to do a few cat and cows. So hands under shoulders, knees under hips, lift up your belly button, drop your head, and then drop your belly and lift your chin, and just do some nice smooth cat cows. Feel into those shoulders, keep them steady. And now we're going to curl our toes under, bring our hands slightly forward, and come up into a down dog. So in your down dog, bend your knees. Try to slap your heels, opposite heels on the ground. Lift up your butt. Get a nice line from the top of the head. Keep the head loose. Let's take the right foot and come down on the tops of our toes. Stretch them out. And let's do the other foot. Stretch out the tops of the toes. And then slowly walk your hands in, and we're going to come to standing. Okay. I'm into mountain. Check your alignment from feet firmly planted on the mat, micro bend, tucked tummy, broad shoulders, tucked chin. Breathe from the lower chakras up and down. And then let's just do some nice gentle sways here like we did with peanut butter jar things. Just gonna kind of loosen everything up now that we're standing. Lift your feet up a little bit, bend your knees. All right, okay. So we're gonna do a new move today that we've never done, and I'm gonna incorporate this into my day, and I'm not necessarily as a practice, but just during the day. So I get way back here, you can see me. So you're gonna take your arms out to the side, and thumbs are up. Thumbs are up towards the ceiling. Make sure your shoulders are in line, and we're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back to neutral. Take the thumbs down to the mat. And we're going to do the same thing. Keep the shoulders level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to neutral. Thumbs are facing forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And last one, which is the challenging one. Thumbs are facing backward. That's hard. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then float your arms down and wiggle them out. So that is an exercise or a movement that lets you know where you have some weaknesses in your shoulder. Not that we don't already know from the other work we did, but this is one. The trainer recommends doing starting 10 and then 9 and then 8 of each, and do it all the way down to 1. So I couldn't do that many. So I thought if we started with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, not necessarily all at the same time, but in the day you start with 5 and then maybe later you go, okay, now I'll do 4 of each of them. So you get down to 1. It'll really strengthen the shoulders. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions, to do that, to keep my shoulders
So
strong.
Susan, when you go out the last one, the hard one, and put your thumbs back, is it okay to drop your shoulders a little lower?
Well, but look at me, I can't even get my arms all the way up.
Yeah, because I was going to say they don't move at all if I try to put them up too high.
Right. So, the first time I did it, I'm like, what? But so, you get your shoulder blades in the position, roll them under, try to get back as much as you can into that position. Now, I can't go back very far, but I think alignment is more important than getting. So, work on your alignment first. In other words, we start where you are. If you can't do the movement at all, if you could just get your arms up and your thumbs back, that's good. So just start where you are.
Okay, so alignment is more important than the movement.
Yeah, because if you do the movement unaligned, what's the point?
Okay.
Okay. That's what I think. Although, a lot of times you'll see people in the gym, they're weightlifting, they're going, oh. So they're just using momentum to get the arm up. That doesn't help the muscle. The muscle needs to do the work. And it's the same with the ligaments. If your ligaments is tight or overstretched and you're doing the movement with it in the wrong place, you're not getting it untight or unstretched. So anyway, think makes sense?
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to rotate my thumbs back at all if I keep my arms up.
Well, that's what I mean. So you might just start like trying to get your thumb to sort of go back. That might be the
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 might be just that. And I tell you, 2 months ago, I couldn't even lift this arm. So a little bit every day helps. All right, now we know why we have to have our shoulders strong, because a lot of these yoga poses, and we're just going to do a quick series of standing poses, the shoulders are so important. So we're going to start with warrior 1. So come to where you would be the top of your mat if you're on your mat. and come into good alignment in mountain pose, come into a prayer pose, and then take a comfortable step back with your right leg. And come into hips are forward and open up the shoulders and bring the arms up and overhead. So here we are, the shoulders are so important in this pose. And then we're going to come into humble warrior. So we're going to bring the arms back and open them up and come forward into humble warrior. Now, keeping your shoulders broad, open your arms and bring your hands down to the mat. I'm just reaching my fingers down. I can't get my whole hand down. You know, I can go down like that. But I want to keep a good alignment. So I'm just going to come down on my fingers here, keep my shoulders broad. And then press into that back leg because you start putting all your weight on your front leg usually in this pose. Keep the weight on the back leg and the hips forward. Now come down with your hands or onto your knuckles. Bring the back leg up and we'll do our standing split. So see how important your shoulders are here. And then bring your leg down, foot forward, and come up. And what I noticed since I've been working on my shoulders is this less work on my poor hips. All right, so we'll do the other side now. We're going to bring the hands to prayer position. Take a step back with the left foot into warrior one. Lift the arms up. Drop the shoulders. Weight equal on both legs. Bring the arms back into humble arms. Come forward into a humble warrior. Come down to the mat. Keep weight on the back leg here. Press into the front foot. Shoulders are broad. Now bring your hands down to the mat with your broad shoulders and lift your other leg up. If you can only go up this far, that's fine. But, you know, come up as high as you can in your standing split. Shoulders are very broad. Heart is open. And then bring the foot down and slowly roll up. Did anyone notice the difference than when we usually do that? Did anyone actually do it?
I actually have to have my hands more forward to do the standing split. I can't keep them by my foot.
Good point. Yes. When I hadn't done any standing poses for a long time, the first time I did some, I would holy moly, I can't do anything. So yeah, it's very hard if you don't do them all the time because it's balance and strength. And you will eventually be able to, if you did more, you could do more, but that's all right. Keeping the hands forward to get that leg up is very important at the beginning, for sure. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do another one that really is a shoulder one, and it's Goddess Victory Squat. So take your feet wide, and then turn your toes out slightly, and come down into a mini squat. Now, squatting is very hard for me, so I can't squat too wide. Squats are great. My daughter's doing a class where she's doing bar, and she said all they do is squat for 45 minutes. But her is really not tight. So squatting is really good because it does work on the glutes. Yeah, and you can feel it in the outer quads too. So come in, let's do a few just mini squats to kind of loosen up those hips. And then come down as far as you can comfortably. And bring your arms out to the side. And bring your hands up into Goddess Victory Squat. And we'll just do let's do 10. Inhale up, exhale squat. Inhale up, exhale squat. And be mindful of your knees. If it gets to be too much, just do the arms. Two more. And come up, walk your feet in, come into prayer pose. So I know you all practiced your Ardha Chandrasana, right?
That's not the against the wall one.
Yeah, that's the against the wall one.
No, definitely haven't practiced that one.
Over by your bed or your chair then. I'm gonna practice it now. You will master it. So we're gonna take one foot and open it out to the side. And take the other foot back like a warrior two type of pose. And then I'm on a wall, so I feel safe. If you're holding onto a chair, you should feel pretty safe. And we're gonna lean over and grab onto your chair if you're in a chair. Or if you're in a wall, you can come a little further. You're gonna come down. And bring the back leg up. So you're making a right angle. And then you can bring your other arm up. And breathe. And slowly come up. How'd everybody do? I see Judy. Judy looks good.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
I like that one.
I
Chair was very helpful.
Pardon?
I thought the chair was very helpful.
Of course, yes.
I
Always
never tried it with the chair before. It was much better.
good. Yeah, because it's scary. I remember when I hadn't done it, I thought it was pretty scary to go down. So other side, bend that front leg, keep the body open, hand on chair or whatever, and then start to lean over. And if you just got to this far, that's good, because we're opening up. You see how we're opening up the hips and shoulders here?
Are we going the other way now?
I am.
Just checking.
Now this side, I can't get my arm down to the ground. Isn't that funny? The other side did easy. Okay. And come back up. Oh, I just feel like, it's so different from anything we do in real life. It just feels like freeing to me to put the body in a position where it's just open and vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable position. I kind of like it. All right, last pose standing is we're going to do chair pose because that's a real shoulder opener. So we're going to come into mountain. And we're going to make like we're going to sit down in a chair. See, my back is sort of flat. My feet are very firm. I'm feeling that both feet are getting a lot of pressure. And then sweep the arms up. And breathe. Breathe right into the heart, the throat, and the third eye. And then slowly, slowly, slowly bring your hands down to the mat. And walk your feet back and come onto your belly. Just a moment. I just had a thought. What do you guys think if sometime we actually went away for a weekend and did a weekend together? Too much? Must be too much. No one's
I
answering.
would if it wasn't too far of a drive.
Yeah, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to go somewhere where we could just like maybe do a yoga session in the morning, a yoga session in the afternoon. Talk about yoga. It could even just be a day, but I just feel an hour sometimes isn't really. Anyway.
I think it would be great.
Okay. That we'll think about that some more. So just lie down on your belly and lift up your lower legs and do some windshields. And then bring your feet down and take your arms out on either side of you. This is a very challenging pose. It's very challenging, and don't feel like you have to get into it if you can't. We're gonna lift up your torso and take your left arm and walk it over to the right side of your body. So I'm kind of laying on my left arm. And then we're gonna take the right arm and walk it over to the left side of the body. And see if you can maintain that. I can't get all the way down, but. So we're stretching out the scaps. If you want to do one side at a time, you can. You could bring the other arm up overhead. Feels kind of good.
I notice this when we roll over sometimes.
Yeah, you can. So I've actually decided that I'm just gonna have my left arm because I can get that all the way down then and rest my forehead on my right arm above me. And take 2 more breaths. And then I'm gonna switch arms. So I'm gonna lift up, slide my left arm over so it's out straight for a minute. Take my right arm over, palm up, and then bring my left arm back and rest my forehead on my left arm. Oh, that feels better. Yeah, that's good. I don't think I could have done that before this class this morning. Slowly slide that arm back. And our last pose before Shavasana is going to be child pose. So we're going to come up. In your version, you can use your roller or any prop if you want. Take your knees wide, or you don't even have to come down on your knees, whatever works for you. And then we're going to bring our arms forward with our head down on the mat or on a prop. Oh, now the shoulders are working. When my shoulders weren't working, I really missed child pose. Take a few more breaths here. And let's slowly, slowly come up and roll over onto your back. And draw your knees into your chest. Gently rock from side to side. And take both knees into the armpits. Bring your feet up to the air and grab onto your legs or your toes or your heels into happy baby. And let's do it static, just not making any movement for a bit. Just feel the knees release. Feel the back relax down on the mat. And then you can make movements if you like. And then slowly release your legs and bring them down onto the mat, and we'll come into the final pose of the class. So make yourself comfortable. Allow your back body to sink down into the surface. Bring your awareness to your hands. Let's start with the right hand. Let's bring your awareness to your right thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, back of your hand, palm of your hand, wrist, your whole hand, completely relaxed. Now bring your awareness over to your left hand, left thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, back of the hand, palm of the hand, wrist, whole left hand. Bring your awareness to your shoulders, right shoulder, top of the right shoulder, scapula, collarbone, relaxed right shoulder, left shoulder, top of the shoulder, collarbone, scapula, whole left shoulder, whole head, whole torso, legs, both feet, totally relaxed, absorbing the benefits of the practice today. I'm going to read you a quote from Victoria Erickson. November is a soft month, the feminine, the cabin's candlelit room, the mystical, the yin, the going inward, the poetry, the moon. Tend to your aches, your rituals, your rhythms. Sip it all slowly. So gradually begin to deepen your breath. Roll your head from side to side. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Take a long stretch. And when you're ready, you can roll over onto one side. And make your way slowly up to seated. And then when you're ready, bring your hands to your heart. Be generous in prosperity and thankful in adversity. Be an instrument of fidelity to all who know you. Namaste.
Namaste.
All right, you guys, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
You
You
too.
too,
Thank
everybody.
you. That was a great class.
It was.